Hello, everyone. This is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know, I start my show off the same way with gratitude. I am thankful to be here. I am thankful to be above ground. I'm thankful to be able to bring another episode to you to empower and to inspire you. And I am here today with Willie Handler. And let me tell you what we're talking about today. Humor is not to be taken lightly. It's not a play on the word humor. Humor is not to be taken lightly. Let me tell you a bit about Willie. Willie Handler was a satirist well before he became a novelist. Hailing from Canada, where self-deprecating humor is part of the national character, he finds targets for his humor everywhere, including friends, family, co-workers, politicians, farmers, bureaucrats, telemarketers, Martians, and pop culture icons. With his most recent work, he has crossed over to the world of speculative fiction. Let's welcome Willie Handler to Between the Lines. Welcome, Willie.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you.
Yes, it's good to have you on. So we're saying humor is not to be taken lightly. Isn't that a play on the word? Isn't humor supposed to be taken lightly? I don't understand that.
Well, I take humor very seriously. So,
Okay then.
oh, absolutely. No, but think about it. There's different kinds of humor as well. Not that that's what we're necessarily going to talk about, but there's also dark humor. That's not light.
Okay, dark humor. You know, now that you mention it, you may be right.
Yeah,
Dark humor. Explain that. So what are the
right.
different types of humor? So that when we are interacting with others or we probably attending an event, we can identify what should be taken lightly, what should be taken seriously. Tell us.
Okay. Well, I can go through some of the different types of humor. I like satire myself, and that type that sort of straddles between can be light, but maybe a little bit more serious as well, depending on what the targets are. There is slapstick comedy, which is totally light, and there's kind of like and I talk there's which has a little bit of physical side to it. So I mean that sort of just runs. That's just some of them, but probably the main categories. So
Okay.
and sometimes in my books I might actually include different aspects of those different types of humor.
So give us an example of what you mean by dark humor.
Um, well, uh, let me give. I saw I can think of one off the top of my head. A film that was probably about 20 years old or something like that. It was done by Danny DeVito. I'm trying to. Oh, War of the Roses. It was about a couple that
Oh,
was sort of. I
I
don't know if you.
remember that. I
Okay.
remember War of the Roses, that movie. Yes.
Yeah. So if you remember that, there was a couple that was in their marriage was coming apart,
Hmm.
and that's a comedy, but it was very dark.
Yes. I think they were trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I think they succeeded at the end.
They did. I can't remember how the movie ended. I need to watch that movie again.
Yeah,
But
me too.
they succeeded killing each other in the end?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did they succeed in killing each other at the end, you
Yes,
say?
I think that's how it ended.
Oh my God. No, I have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
My word. Why would
If you
somebody do that?
if you remember, they painted a yellow line down the middle of the house,
Yeah.
and they each had half the house because neither one would move out.
Wow. Wow. what would take people to that kind of extreme.
So that, I mean, that's about as dark as you can get. And any type of humor that where there's death involved,
Mm,
people are killed. I think that's pretty dark.
yes, yes.
And it's also sort of uncomfortable because something bad is happening and you
Mm,
kind of makes you laugh.
yeah, yeah. But that is not something to laugh about, really, when you really think about it, because look at what happened to those people. I really have to look back at that movie to see how things transpired. But
Yeah.
there are persons, like, for instance, I'm a Toastmaster, and we have humor as part of our program to help persons who may go about seeking to become a humorous personality, or do the comedy scene, or to do speeches that may involve humor. And like for you, become a novelist, using your satire and become a novelist. What are some guides or tips that you can share with the listening audience and those watching who may want to move into that area as well?
Well, interesting. I've always believed that uh, that that anyone who's involved in humor, whether it's writing or on stage or on the screen, I think in many cases they're kind of, especially if you're writing it, you're kind of wired to be funny. I
Mhm.
don't. It's. I think it's. I don't know if you can something you can um, actually it's a skill you can develop. I think if you're playing in a comedy movie or on TV, you're just playing a role. But if you're actually writing the stuff, so if so whether it's a novelist or you're a screenwriter, you really have to have yeah, you almost have to be wired to be funny. I don't think it's something that you can really develop. I think it just comes naturally to certain
Mhm.
people.
Okay. But for those who have the natural ability and want to develop it some more, what are some tips you can share?
Yeah. Well, um, if you want to be a novelist, my advice is just sit down and write. Um, because if you're writing, whether you're writing a serious novel, whether it's a thriller or comedy or a romance, the number one thing is you have to be able to write well. So you really have to start sitting down and writing because that's the only way you're going to get better. Now, if you're writing a specific genre, and that includes humor, then uh, I think just again, the more you write, the better you're going to be at it. And but it has to be something that you're really passionate about. Like you're not going to see me write a steamy romance because it's just not my thing, and I would probably be horrible. But but there, other I would try another genre other than humor if it was something I was really keen on.
Yeah. So you move from being a satirist into a novelist. So explain what a satirist will do, because you move from being a satirist into writing. You move from being a satirist to being a novelist, somebody who writes books. But as a satirist, what were you doing? Because persons may decide they want to follow the same vein. What 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 are some of the things a satirist does?
Well, a satirist is very good at looking at things,
Mhm.
just ordinary things, and finding something humorous about it. And so you're you're riding on a bus, and people on the bus are annoying you, and you turn it around into something you rush home and you write about it, but you turn into something very funny. And that's kind of the type of thing a satirist would do.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's like
It
you make
might
light
be,
of a
you know, it
situation.
might be, yeah. So it's all about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Might be, you know, you go to a political rally
Mm-hmm.
and you find the whole thing absurd, and you rush back home and you write about it, and
Yeah.
you make it, but you exaggerate, so you
Yeah.
make it even more absurd.
I think satirical comments and feedback are good in situations where things are tense, and sometimes it becomes the tenseness of the situation becomes so massive. It's like making a mountain out of a molehill in some situation where people just keep feeding this monster, this monster, this monster, and there is no solution. And somebody comes in and say, "Hey, stop all of that," and they bring a different perspective that you never thought about, and it makes you laugh. Suddenly, the stress, the tense, the whole swelling of the mountain comes down even smaller than a molehill, that you're not all, how shall I say, like a volcano building up inside. You suddenly begin to lighten up and get clarity. Is that something that satirists can help someone with?
Yeah, I mean, for everyone, it's different, and when you're doing humor, you're going to have to assume that that a certain proportion of people out there aren't going to find it funny, won't get it, might be offended, lots of things. So let's just say you write romance books. Most people who will read your book, who like romance books, will like it. If you're writing humor, well, everybody has a different sense of humor, if you think about it. So, somebody might pick up a humor book and not find it funny. So your audience is always going to be much smaller, because some some people are looking for specific type of humor. And and also it's kind of the mood of the times, or maybe the situation that person might be in their life. You think about it, the early days of the pandemic, maybe a lot of people weren't in the kind of frame of mind
Yeah.
for humor. So it's
Yeah.
not a time to be doing a lot of satire, maybe in the first few weeks. People's anxiety levels were very, very high. And then as people seem to get used to what's the new normal, then you can sort of let loose again. And that's exactly what the situation I found myself early on. In fact, I had difficulty writing the first couple of weeks.
So there's a time and place for everything. That saying works. There's a time and place for everything. And satire can work in certain circumstances and not in others. So for example, let's say you're emceeing an event. It could be a wedding, it could be a birthday party, it could be a social, a get together, something, with friends and family. It may be relevant then, and still, like you said before, persons may be in a particular space or frame of mind at that point, and you may say something that really supposed to be a joke, but it hits a little button there that the joke doesn't come across well. So as someone who is a satirist, you have to really, I mean, from my estimation and listening to you, you have to get the temperature of the environment that you're in before you say any and anything. You need to feel it out before you say any and anything. Yeah.
Well, and see, live is much different than writing, because when it's the written word, whether it's a short story or a novel or something like that, or even a film, people can get a synopsis and decide whether or not it's for them. If it's a live performance, uh, and when I say performance, say you're emceeing something, you have to really you have to know what your audience is like before you start talking, because uh, you want to hit a home run. You don't want to strike out. and
Exactly. You don't want to strike out. I like
and
that. You
or
want to hit a home
you know,
run. You don't want to
if
strike
there be
out.
a total dud.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want people throwing stuff at you and heckling after 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Or you get the crickets. Oh.
Or the bride's father takes you in the back of the hall and beats the crap out of you.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that. So yes, feeling
No,
out
no.
your audience, feeling out your audience is important. But let's look a little bit beyond. Let's look a little bit beyond.
Okay.
How far can somebody take being a satirist? What is the future holding, or what are the prospects in terms of being a satirist?
Uh, the prospects. It, I would say, and we're talking about as a novelist, right?
Yeah, it can be as a novelist or any other area.
Uh, I would say that what my experience has been that's almost like a subgenre,
Hmm.
and so your prospects are it's going to be a hard sell. Okay, one day you might be a big name, in which case people are lining up to get signed copies of your book and having selfies taken with you, but that's rare and few instances in life, and so you're gonna have a tough time finding your audience. But there's an audience out there. So a lot of writers don't realize, whether you're a satirist or another kind of writer, is you have to learn how to market yourself,
Hmm.
and marketing is as important as the writing.
Hmm. Hmm. Or even more important than the writing, I think, because I'm a publisher myself and I'm an author, and a lot of people don't understand the marketing is more important than the writing. The writing is the easiest part. The marketing is
Yeah.
the hardest part.
Well, because even if you're not a good writer, even if you write trashy,
Hmm.
trashy novels,
Yeah,
there's a market out there. There's an audience out there. So the skill is finding them.
yeah.
You're right. I know people who they can in 8 weeks they can pull together a novel,
Mhm.
and they can produce four, five, six in a year, and for them it's about churning them out and getting them to their readers
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
their
want to,
followers,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and and building an audience.
It's all about marketing, and like you said, and you would know, and I would know, and other authors who are listening would know as well, that you could have something that, as you say, trashy or crap or not good writing, let's call it that, and you have a very good marketing, you're very good at marketing, or you have a team that is marketing. You can get your book out there, as opposed to books that are really well done, can add value, and they don't have marketing, and they sit there. They don't generate
They're
any
lost.
awareness. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't
they're
generate
lost out
any.
there.
Yeah, they just get lost. And I've seen those type of comments coming from persons, people who are reviewing and avid readers, voracious readers, that there are books out there that are really good and they're not getting noticed. They're not getting noticed. Willie, I
And
want
so
to, yeah, go
so
ahead.
as a so as a satirist, because that's a it's almost a subgenre, it's a small market, you have to be it's even more important to be a savvy marketer, because you're starting off with a much smaller audience. Like there's probably, I keep mentioning it because it's probably the biggest, most popular genre is romance.
Hmm.
And so if you're in the romance genre, it's competing with all the other romance books out there. For me, I'm not necessarily competing against a lot of other writers. Certainly not it's not the same as in other genres, but it takes a bit of time to find the right audience and to develop a really good pitch, because it's all about catching someone's attention so that they actually go, what's this book about? And, might decide, oh, that cover looks nice. What's the synopsis? Oh, that sounds like something I might be interested in. No, I wouldn't pay that much for that book. Anyway. Pricing's also important.
Of course, pricing is important, but it also depends on what the type of person, what they're looking for, where they are in their life. It's a number of things that can be happening that determines why somebody would purchase a book. I want to hop across to your website now, so I'm going to be sharing the screen.
I'm sorry?
I'm here on your website now.
Oh, yes. Oh, I recognize that.
Yeah, you should. It's your website.
Oh, yes, so it is.
Is there anything here that you would like me to feature on this episode for you? I see you have a contact if persons can contact you here. What is the latest book that you have?
Okay, so
where do I go?
If you on this website, you'll see that I have.
I see you have some awards. Before I go ahead, I see you have some awards. Reader's favorite, 5 stars, and you have book cover contest that you won in 2017.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I must have voted 10,000 times to win that thing. No, I'm only kidding, of course. Yeah, so that's my first book is The Road Ahead.
Okay.
And my second book, and that's a political satire. My second book is Love Mars, Hated the Food.
Let me see. I'm going to click on it here.
That is a sort of a science fiction spoof. Yeah, if you click on there, that's a science fiction spoof. It's so popular that my publisher has convinced me to write a sequel.
Oh, nice.
So I'm actually working on this. I'm working on a sequel right now.
All right, and it's available on all these different platforms.
Yes.
Indigo, Amazon.
Very important that you point out where you can purchase the book.
Yes.
And actually, I just realized we were talking about dark humor. My third novel, which is not out yet, probably won't be for another year or so, is actually going to be a black comedy.
Okay.
Deep into the weeds. So something to look out for. But certainly, if you want to know more about Deep into the Weeds, yes.
Ooh, okay. So this is coming out in about a year. So we just want people to know to get ready for this. And these weeds look like you don't want to be in there.
Oh, well,
You don't want to be in there. They look like there's some prickly stuff in there. I don't know.
Yeah? Pretty heavy-duty weeds there, let me tell you.
And this is a synopsis.
So,
this is a synopsis.
But if people want to know more, about me and follow me, I have a newsletter that you can sign up for, and I think if you go to the blog tab, I think there's a pop-up. I'm going to be totally revamping this. So
I'm waiting for it to come up.
Someday it's going to look a little different. Me too. I'm so excited. There it is. Is there a pop-up? Somewhere there should be a pop-up, but maybe
it probably will pop up in a while. It probably will
pop up. It's not popping up right now.
No, it's not popping up now.
It's not popping up somewhere in there, and it wasn't. Did you hit the welcome button? Maybe it's on the welcome button. But there is a pop-up where you can sign up for my newsletter, which is the best way to find out what's going on.
I see it on a newsletter here that's already there, but it's not a pop-up. These are the past.
No, that's the newsletter.
Yeah, those are the past.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
I will check that out because there used to be a pop-up.
Yeah.
But
But if in the meantime, if persons want to
Sometimes,
read, if persons want to read the past issues, they can check out these. Yeah.
yes.
And of course, they can contact you at the contact us button here.
Oh, right here. You see where it says you can subscribe to my quarterly newsletter here?
No, I'm not.
Corinne, if you see where it says you can subscribe to my
Oh,
quarterly
here.
newsletter
Yes.
here,
Yes,
if
that's
you
right.
click on here, I
Yes.
think it will take you to another page.
All right. So let me just, because I started to click on the contact us here already, so people can put in their name and email and contact you. And let me go back so they can get the newsletter there. So we're waiting.
There you go. No, that's not it. Right here.
Yeah.
That's not it.
No, that was the contact
Okay.
us that you're saying, but now we're clicking on the newsletter. So
See
it's
what happens? What happens is you lose the links over time. You have to check them on a regular basis.
Yeah, sometimes it gets broken, but this is the newsletter here now.
Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
Mm-hmm. So
there
they
it
can
is.
put in their email, first name, and last name. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So they get that by clicking.
Yes,
Here.
and it right now it's a quarterly newsletter, but I'm revamping the newsletter, and it's going to be probably monthly.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a bit about you. So if persons want to get to know about you, they can come here and make their purchases. So we just give them a brief tour of your website so they know where to find everything. Yeah. So this has been good, Willie. I mean, this has been quite informative. I don't think I've
Thank
ever
you.
had I don't think I've ever had a satirist. If I had, it was probably one on my show. And you may be the second, but I don't recall having a satirist. Yes. I don't recall having a satirist on my show, but thank you so much. Is there any final words you want to say to the listening and watching audience?
Well, you know, humor is in my DNA, and I love to share my work with people. So, you know, I welcome them to come and visit my website, sign up for my newsletter, because I'm always including funny stuff in there. And if any of my books interest you, then you'll find out how to get them on my website. So thank you very much for having me on, Corinne. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure talking with you, Willie. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing laughter to the hearts and souls of people. We need a lot more of that. People need to lighten up and stop stressing and worrying so much about things they have no control over. So continue to bring smiles and laughter. Yes, it has its time and place, but all in all, we are supposed to be living a full life, a full, joyful life here on this earth. So thank you for your contribution. I appreciate you, and thank you for being a guest on Between the Lines.
My pleasure. My pleasure.